Hey, what's up, teammates? This is Regional Vice President, near term Senior Vice President Nicholas Bracy. All my friends call me Nick, but I want to welcome and congratulate all of you top men, top women, leaders, contenders, future regional vice presidents, and fighters to this installment of the Prove It Movement Hierarchy Fundamentals Training, where we're taking step 2 into the training on how to do a winning presentation. On the last training, I kind of talked about what makes a winning presentation, what are the different parts of a winning presentation. I even did an analogy to where I compared doing a winning presentation to like building a great burger, like really making a great hamburger, and to keep it simple in that regard. Well, in this installment, what I want to do, teammates, is I want to take it a step further, and I want to talk about the actual presentation, just kind of how to do the presentation. And so what I have with me right now is my trusty presentation transcript. Hopefully you have one of these. If you need one, you can get it on POL, which stands for Primerica Online. You can log on to the agent website. There's a little link at the top that says Virtual Base Shop. That's kind of like our team's virtual page, our virtual office. You can click on Base Shop resources, go in there, and you can download a copy of the winning presentation transcript. Or if that's too complicated for you, you can just ask your field trainer if they could please give you a copy of the winning transcript presentation, because you'll need that anyway. As you're learning it, as you're doing your field training, or if you're a seasoned person, just to kind of have it to govern you and to recalibrate your process. Because every now and then we need to just kind of look back at the process and just kind of evaluate what we're doing, how far we strayed away from it, and just recalibrate ourselves. So what I want to do today is actually go through the presentation. Now, I'm not going to role play it. I'm just going to kind of go through it, and then I'll stop and explain and elaborate different pieces of it to make sure that you guys really understand how each of these sections should be presented, what should be said, and how important it is in the whole winning presentation process. I'm telling you right now, everything with this presentation is meant to be done the way that it's laid out on the presentation transcript. It's been field tested, it's been proven that it works. And so you want to master it and learn it the way that I'm going to present it to you today. And so I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to get straight into it. And so doing the winning presentation, this is the second part of that. So this is what you're going to need to gather, just to be able to, be effective and to follow along with what I'm going to be talking about. Get your device, whether you're on a computer, laptop, tablet, whatever the case may be. When you're doing a winning presentation, you don't want to ever do it from a phone. I mean, that's just challenging, guys. You don't want to get into that to where you're trying to manage this whole winning presentation process and you're doing it for a person and you're doing it from your phone. Please, just put yourself in a position to where you are in front of a computer or a tablet and you're stationary and you're able to do it that way. You're also going to need a Zoom subscription to be able to do a winning presentation, because that's how we pretty much do the presentation process. We do it everything virtually, so you will need a Zoom subscription. It's a tax deduction, all that good stuff. They do have a free version of Zoom that you can get, but it only limits you to a 40-minute appointment. Everything will time out. It'll kick you off after 40 minutes. So I just recommend, hey, why not pay the $15, $16 or so a month just to get the full subscription? And then, you need a winning presentation transcript. I talked about what's the cheat code in our last training to where you can keep your winning presentation transcript right there beside your device and you can just read from it. It's that easy. And then you'll also need the presentation in PowerPoint or a PDF. You see it right here on the screen right here. This is the presentation that we use whenever we are going through the winning presentation. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just talk through it. I kind of got it memorized in my head and all that good stuff because, of course, I've done it a lot. And we want you to get to the place to where this information is reflexive, right? Now, until you get there, you can read it just like I mentioned before, but we want you to get to the place to where you know this backwards and forwards. You can jump in and out of the presentation, because what that'll do, that'll allow you to be able to stay on track and on pace with the presentation. It'll stop with the rambling, all right? And so the way that I go into the warm-up, I always say, hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for investing some time to being able to meet with me. I promise you this will be an investment of your time. It won't be a waste of your time, because I think that you're going to walk away very impressed with the information and the opportunity that I'm going to share with you. So what I call that's just kind of a lead in. That's not necessarily, the whole warm up, but I just advise you to create some type of a lead in before you get into the actual warm up, because that helps set the table, right? And then, you say you go into the process, some of your lead in might be, hey, listen, this is what I'm doing. I'm a part of a management training program to open up my own financial services agency. I'm one of the emerging leaders in the area. And so this is a chance for me to show you something that I feel has impacted my life. And whatever your lead in is, right? And so if you look at the winning presentation transcript, it says this. It says, hey, look, I want to start by letting you know that our company right now, we're experiencing a tremendous amount of success, right? And so what that means is that we're looking for other sharp and ambitious people that they too are open to the possibility of making some more money and at the same time having some more freedom. Now, I don't like to assume anything about anybody that I meet, but I always like to check people's pulses and find out, how does more money and more freedom sound to you? Now, I'm going to stop right there. So that's me checking a person's pulse during the warm-up to see if they're recruitable. You heard me refer to that in the last training, to where in the warm-up, we set the table, but then we're also checking a person's pulse to find out if they're open to an opportunity, right? Because again, we shoot for the recruit. We're going to miss with the sale. But if a person's recruitable, we want to know. And so we're going to find that out very, very early in the appointment process. And depending on how a person answers that question will determine what happens next, right? And so you want to have great energy. You want to be lively. You want to make sure that your facial expressions are showing that you're excited about this information that you're going to be telling them, that you're smiling a lot. I'm a person that I like to use my hands and things like that. You want to be in a well-lit space. You don't want to be all in the dark. Hold on a second. Let me give you an example. So you don't want to be trying to do a winning presentation for somebody and you in a situation where they can barely make out your face, right? It just brings the confidence level and just the behind what you're saying. It just brings it down. So when you're in a well-lit space, right, and you have great energy and you have great command of the material that you share with them, and there's not a lot of background noise and things like that, and then just carve you out a little space, do that. I'm telling you right then off top, because the people that you're presenting to, from the jump, they're taking everything in. They're taking everything in. So if they come on the screen and they see that you have a great setup, well lit, you're excited, you're confident, then it's going to draw them in even more. And so you tell them that. You're checking their pulse. You know what I'm saying? How does more money and more freedom sound to you? Most people will say, man, it sounds excellent. It sounds great. There will be some people, though, that say, hey, you know what? It sounds good, but I got a lot going on. My plate is full. I got this going on. I got that going on. I'm in school. I just got a promotion on the job. I travel a lot. I have kids that have activities. I don't know if I'm coming or going. They may give you just an array of reasons why it sounds good, but it's not something that they feel that they would want to do. They might tell you that right then, right? If they share that with you right then you do not go through the play. But like I said, most people, when you ask that question, how does more money and more freedom sound to you? A lot of people will say, hey, man, it sounds good. Well, I'm taking that as a cue that, okay, you're giving me permission to talk to you about our amazing business opportunity. Now, I don't tell them that, but just know that that's your cue to, hey, look, I'm going to go through the play part of our winning presentation. All right. And so they say, hey, look, it sounds great to me. I say, well, great. Hey, listen, I'm glad you said that. Hopefully this is an opportunity that you could take advantage of, but I've been doing this long enough. I know it's not for everybody. So there's no pressure, right? And so if it's not an opportunity that you want to take advantage of, hopefully you find enough value in what we talk about that it may be some things that you and your family can take advantage of. Worst case scenario, you feel comfortable at least being a referral source. Does that sound fair enough, right? So what did I do there? I didn't sound all thirsty, like, yeah, let's just get you in a bit. No, I said, hey, look, that sounds great. Hopefully this is an opportunity for you. But guess what? I've been doing this long enough to know that it's not for everybody. So there's no pressure. There's no pressure, right? And so, but if it's not an opportunity you want to take advantage of, hopefully you find some value in what we're talking about, then you might want to get some services, right? We can talk about that. Or you might see something you like. Or worst case scenario, you know, you'll be a referral source for me. Does that sound fair enough? So I just planted a seed for them to possibly become a client and definitely give me referrals. Does that sound okay? All right, perfect. And so just follow along with me on that. And then I say, well, listen, before I get into it, I do want to learn a little bit more about you. Where are you from? Right? Where are you from? Are you from this area? Where are you from? Depending on where I'm doing the presentation, and where they're from or where they're at when I'm doing the presentation. Some people might be in Houston. They may be in parts of Louisiana. They may be on the East Coast. Whatever city or state that they're logging in from, I'm going to ask them if they're from there. They say, well, no, I'm not from there. Okay, well, I am from here. Okay, perfect, great. Well, what kind of work do you do? Because I want to know, who am I dealing with? I want to know, what kind of work are they into? Is it the type of work to where they've had to get a formal education for it? Does it sound like they've maybe gotten promoted? Are they in a managerial position? Are they a director? Are they a lead? Whatever the case may be, I'm looking for clues of, man, is there some accomplishments that have been achieved in this person's life, right? And that very well could show up in the type of work that they do. Now, we're not discriminating. This is just great information for you to know about a person, right? Because this is a different conversation and possibly a different mentality if somebody is working full-time at Chick-fil-A, fast food, versus somebody that is a head nurse at the hospital, right? No shade on Chick-fil-A, but y'all get what I'm saying. And so I just want to know who I'm dealing with, right? And that way I might be able to know the mentality. And then once I find out what to do and I say, hey, great, listen, I meet a lot of different people from different backgrounds and skill sets. I don't like to assume anything about anybody that I'm speaking with. I wanted to know, has anyone ever talked to you about the power of having a life insurance license and an investment license? And 9 times out of 10, family, the people are going to say no, right? So when they say no, you say, well, listen, did you know having those 2 licenses is actually one of the best kept secrets in America for creating first generation wealth? And they'll say, no, I didn't know that. And I said, the reason why that is because they will actually allow a person, those 2 licenses will allow a person to get paid like a medical doctor, but you ain't got to go to medical school, right? And they'll say, wow. You say, well, let me explain. And that part right there, once you say, well, let me explain, that's the end of the warm-up. That's the end of the warm-up, right? And then at that point, you go directly into the who we are, what we do, right? And so that piece right there, the warm-up, setting the table, checking a person's pulse, making sure that they're recruitable and all that good stuff, or finding out if they're not recruitable. If you do ask that question and they say they're not recruitable, then what do? You skip the play and then you go into the who we are, what we do. You go into the who we are, what we do. Now, I know some of the things I may have said weren't exactly verbatim with the script, with the transcript and all that good stuff. But you can admit that it was probably really close. It was probably really close, right? And so you want to get to the place to where if you're not saying it verbatim with the script, that you're extremely, extremely close. And so as you're learning it, I say that you do it verbatim until you get it enough in your mind to where it's reflexive, and then you can just go ahead and be yourself with it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this part right here, and I'm going to pick back up in another training that deals strictly with the play. This was me just covering the warm-up piece, making sure that you have that piece down, because that's a very, very important part. It sets the table and the tone and the expectation for the entire appointment. And now we're going to assume that a person is, recruitable. They answered that question saying, yeah, man, more money, more freedom is good. Now we're going to go into the play. And that's our recruiting presentation. Thanks a lot, teammates.